Okay, so the next topic that we will be starting is seasonality. Seasonality, or in other words, reasons for seasons. This topic in brief will cover what are the reasons why we experience different seasons at different parts of the globe, such as summer, winter. Why is it so that when the northern hemisphere experiences summers, the southern hemisphere experiences winters? Okay, why is it so that we have climates such as the tropical climate, the temperate climate, the equatorial climate, etc. Right, although we have even in the northern hemisphere at one particular time we have different places experiencing different climate. We have the polar climate, the equatorial climate, the tropical climate, the temperate climate, right? So what are the reasons for seasons? Now before we begin with this topic, we need to know about certain concepts which eventually lead to seasonality, right? These are basic concepts such as the movements of the earth, right? This will cover your rotation and revolution, the tilt of the earth on its axis, right? The next topic is the altitude of the midday sun, which covers your equinoxes and solstices. Okay, so these are some concepts that we need to know about before we start with the reasons for seasons or the seasonality. Now the first thing is the movements of the earth. Two basic movements, rotation and revolution. What is rotation? Rotation is the movement of earth about its own axis, right? The earth moves about its own axis, and that movement is known as rotation. Now this movement takes place from west to east, right? One such rotation is completed in 24 hours, right? Now rotation of the earth is responsible for the phenomena of day and night, right? How is rotation responsible for the phenomena of day and night? Now at one particular time, only one half of the globe receives the radiation of the sun or the sunlight. So the part that receives the sunlight is known to have its daytime, while the other half, which is in darkness, is known to have its night time, right? So within these 24 hours, all parts on the globe will have some amount of sunlight, that is day and night. Right, so what do we need to know in rotation? Rotation is responsible for the phenomena of day and night, and rotation is from west to east. The next movement that we are concerned about is the revolution of the earth, right? So what is revolution of the earth? Revolution is the movement of earth around the sun in an orbit. This orbit is an elliptical orbit, right? So the movement of earth around the sun in an elliptical orbit is known as revolution. One such revolution is completed in 365 1/4 days, right. So it is because of this 1/4 dimension that after every 4 years we have a year of 366 days that we call as the leap year. So rather than counting this 1/4 days individually in a year, we combine it together for 4 consecutive years, and thus we have a leap year, right. So what is revolution? Revolution is the movement of the earth around the sun in an elliptical orbit completed in 365 1/4 days. Every 4th year we have one extra day, that is the leap year. The third thing that we need to know about, which is very, very important, is the tilt of the earth, right. Now earth, as it is moving around the sun, it is not perpendicular to the plane, orbital plane, right. It is slightly tilted. So if this is your sun, this is the earth that is moving around the sun, it is not perpendicular but is slightly tilted, right. So it is moving this way. So as you can see on your screen, the sun is slightly tilted. The axis of, sorry, not the sun, the earth is slightly tilted. The axis is not perpendicular. So if this is your orbital plane or plane of the ecliptic, this is earth. This is perpendicular to the plane of the ecliptic. This is ecliptic plane. This is perpendicular to the plane of the ecliptic. This is the axis of earth, right. So it makes an angle of 66.5 degrees with the orbital plane, right. Or you can say it makes an angle of 23.5 degrees with the perpendicular to the plane of the ecliptic. So this is what we mean by the fact that the earth is slightly tilted. Now as we will see in our lecture, this tilt of the earth is one of the major reasons for two things. One is seasons, second is for varying lengths of day and night. So we have seen that rotation is the reason for day and night, right. But the reason for varying lengths of day and night across the globe is the tilt of the earth, right. It is 66.5 degrees. It makes an angle of 66.5 degrees to the plane of the ecliptic. Now what do we mean by varying lengths of day and night? Now due to the tilt of the earth on its axis, if this tilt, for example, if this tilt was not there and the axis was perpendicular, then in that case all the parts of the globe at one particular time would have had equal length of day and night. As a matter of fact, all throughout the year, all parts on the globe would have equal length of day and night, right. So it is this scenario. This is when the axis is perpendicular. So we have the rays of the sun. So 12 hours of daylight here, 12 hours of night this side, right. The rays of the sun are coming from here. Now for and in reverse, when due to rotation of the earth, then this will have 12 hours of day and this will have 12 hours of night. But what we have to keep in mind is the 12 hours, equal length of day and night at all places across the globe if the axes were perpendicular. But we know that this axis is not perpendicular